Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. What is going on? Monday, February. Are people working today? I don't know what's going on today. Everybody off today, or are people actually coming into work? We're working today. There's no post-game show, nothing like that. We'll just shoot the you-know-what for an hour or so. Thank you very much for being here. Hopefully everybody had a great weekend. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Looking forward to hanging out with you guys for at least the next hour or so. Cheers to you, coffee-wise. Lent is starting here pretty soon. Remember last year when I gave up coffee? Yeah, not giving up coffee again. That's not happening. That was a bad business decision. That one just didn't work out in my favor. All right, we got a lot to get into today. Hopefully everybody enjoyed some of the All-Star event, but not bad. Not bad. Wasn't terrible. I thought it was better than most years. Not every event, but, a couple of the events. They're obviously trying to figure it out, trying to find something that works, something that the consumers want. I'm looking forward to see if people actually liked some of this stuff or if, they weren't fans of it, whatever the case was. But definitely curious to see what people's thoughts and opinions were on All-Star Weekend. Please do me a favor, if you guys don't mind, subscribe to the channel. Of course, we do this Monday through Friday. We react to post-game shows as well. And what are we at? Over 34,000 subscribers here. So really appreciate your guys' support. All right, let me give everyone a quick rundown what we got going on for the show today. And then we'll take a look at some of the comments and we'll get the show started. All-Star Weekend. Really, I'll probably start the beginning of the show talking about just the games from yesterday. And then in the weekend recap, I'll do the three-point contest and the slam dunk contest. Jackson Hayes. Not exactly the greatest representation there from Jackson Hayes. But we'll talk about the new format. Got, some people who are chiming in regards to what they think of it. Of course, there's media availability during All-Star Weekend, and that's going to allow the media to have conversations with Luka and have conversations with LeBron and take some certain things that came out these last couple of days and see how it applies to the Lakers. LeBron and Luka both talked about the rest of the season. I thought both of them were, listen, I get, here's what you're not going to say in one of those interviews. We don't think we can win a championship. Nobody's going to say that. But I thought there were some things that both of them said that we could dive into a little bit. LeBron's future, not a big surprise here, came up again, and it will continue to come up until LeBron tells everybody what his future is. That just kind of comes with the territory. It's going to be a question that's not Laker-wide, that's NBA-wide. But Tim McMahon had a very, very interesting take on this, and he said that there's some momentum going towards something. I'll explain what that is once we get there. I will tell you this, if I'm just being as objective as possible. I'll tell you what I don't typically hear from at least the Laker fan base. What I don't hear a lot of is, man, I really want LeBron for another year after this season. I don't get much of that. So whatever that means, whatever you want to take from that, but that's just, my own personal interaction with some of the listeners or some of the other Laker fans. Yeah, let's just say I'm not getting that a ton. Ivica Zubac was doing an interview and had some interesting things to say about Magic. Let's just put it that way. Every time the Lakers would play the Clippers the last couple of years, every Laker fan would always say, Al, can you believe what Magic, why did he trade Zubac? He gave him up for nothing. Kind of an interesting relationship between those two players. We'll get into that. NBA news, Chris Paul retires, tanking solutions, tanking problems. That was one of the biggest storylines over the weekend. Then we'll do the weekend recap and we'll get out of here. So thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. It's going to be kind of an interesting week. I think I'm taking Wednesday off. I think that's the day that I've targeted. Going to take Wednesday off. Definitely going to take a day off this week as we are in the middle of All-Star week. But Friday is going to be the next Lakers game. So we got, obviously a few days until we're actually reacting to a game or previewing a game. So that's going to be down the road. All right, let's take a look at a couple of the comments and we'll get started. Agree, that was tough, Slee. Coffee, we need coffee. You just can't do it. You just can't do it, guys. I mean, let's be honest with each other. If we're trying to be the best versions of ourselves, for me, I need coffee. I know that's an excuse. I know people want to dig deep and say, Al, you don't need coffee to help dictate your morning. I kind of need coffee. Time to make another cup of coffee. Yeah, you guys know where I'm coming with this. All right, let's get a couple more in here. Morning sleep. I've got used to skipping All-Star game, but I heard it went well, but it's not really something I'll watch on replay. Okay. I'm gonna hold on to this. We'll come back to that comment because I think actually wait a minute. Did I hold on to it or did I lose it? I'll come back to that comment because I think obviously a lot of people want to give their thoughts and their opinion on All-Star weekend. And let's just say it doesn't have the best track record. Let's get a couple more in here. We'll get started. If you live with an open palm rather than a closed fist, you leave room for immeasurable blessings to flow through your hands. Alicia Keys, Ocean Breeze, phenomenal. Ocean Breeze, were you in my YouTube feed? Because Alicia Keys came up a couple of different times this weekend on my just music on YouTube. So, okay, take that one. Let's read one more here, and then we'll get ready to get started. I'd like LeBron to retire late. I think it's important to someone as great as LeBron to retire with an iconic franchise like the Lakers. Okay, by the way, that's a first. I don't think I typically get that very often. Okay, actually, here's a couple. I really want LeBron on the Lakers for another season. Okay, we'll get into that topic in a little bit, but interesting because I don't typically get that, or maybe people just aren't usually typing into the comments in support of LeBron for another season with the Lakers. I feel like it's like a 90-10, 90% saying, good to turn the page, 10% saying, come on back. All right, let's get the show started. Thank you again very much for being here. Appreciate the great listeners that we have here. Hopefully our guy Ryan Romero on Friday night got a chance to go to the Rising Stars game. Obviously, we gave away tickets during the show last week. So great to be able to give away those tickets. Hopefully he took advantage of it. I finally emailed him after everything. I finally emailed him. All-Star Weekend, new format. Okay, what do we think? What do we think of the new format? I'm going to give everyone kind of my thoughts, my idea, or kind of an idea of what I thought about it. To be completely frank with everybody, it was a little confusing in the beginning. I don't think I really understood what the hell was going on. I knew obviously the All-Star game had a new format. You were going to have two teams from the USA, one team that just represented all the international players, Canadians, didn't matter where, but anybody not from the United States was going to be on that team. And immediately I'm looking at the rosters. I'm like, the world is going to mop up the two USA teams. But listen, there's certain guys. Luka was coming in just to kind of show his face for a few minutes. Nikola Jokic looked as disinterested in the game as I've ever seen, and maybe that's just a Jokic thing. So you knew it wasn't going to be just the absolute best. Obviously, Giannis was sitting on the sidelines. He wasn't going to play in that game. It wasn't going to be the true world format. But here's, in my opinion, kind of my takeaway from the new format that they had yesterday. I think the first thing that stood out to me is it was more competitive for whatever reason. And to be honest, I don't even know what the reason is, but I thought it was more competitive. I thought Ant said something after their first game. Team Stars played the Team World, and it was the younger stars, and it was the older NBA players on Team Stripe. So that's how they kind of, that's how they made these rosters look. They kind of younger USA players, older vets USA players, and then Team World. But Anthony Edwards said after the first game, he said that basically Wemby was trying, so he just kind of set the table for everybody to start trying as well. I've said this before. The All-Star game to me is not the end of the world. I know what to expect. I know a lot of these players, it's almost an inconvenience for them to be there. And I think at the end of the day, if you say, hey, what's the best product that you could put out there? I don't think a lot of these players care that much about what the product looks like. I don't. I think they have kind of determined to themselves. A lot of them, they're too cool for school. This is an all-star game. No, we're not going to go out there and try to, go up and compete the way most people want us to compete. I thought last night had a little bit different of a vibe to it, at least in those first three games before the final. And then I think the vets of the NBA, they put their feet in and really said, yeah, there's going to come a point where we don't care. And they didn't care in that final game unless it was convenient for them. But I thought Wemby, who's one of the youngest players in the NBA, who's got, if you did a draft right now and say you could take any player in the world, who you starting with, most people are probably going to take Wemby because of his age and because of what his upside looks like. I love that Wemby came out and was basically like, we're trying to win. And he didn't really care how Jokic was playing. He really didn't care how Luka was playing. He didn't really care how the other side was playing. He kind of had this, certainly had this thought and this feeling of, I'm going to go out there and try to win a game. I want to be very, very competitive. And he was going to take his chances with that. I'm going to read a quote here. Again, I'm not, maybe this is because Wemby is so young. Some of these other players don't care. Here's what he said. Wemby said, let me find the exact quote here from Wemby. I had it. By the way, there was a lot of people kind of giving their opinions specifically on, obviously what they thought of the All-Star game format. Here's what Wemby said. He says, it's a game we love. It's a game I personally cherish. So being competitive is the least I can do. I'll tell you, there's a lot of players that's not going to come out of their mouth. So I did love that at least Wemby took the game a little bit different. Anthony Edwards said Wemby set the tone, and it was definitely competitive with all three teams. He set the tone, and it woke me up for sure. So maybe if Wemby doesn't come out and decides, hey, I'm trying to win one of these games, or I'm trying to win a couple of these games, maybe that changes the whole thing. But all you really need is a couple of guys to get everybody else going. And I thought Wemby kind of set the table. But I thought the actual format, I'm going to go back to this. The fact that it was 12-minute quarters, I thought was helpful. Was a little bit confusing in the beginning, sure. But I thought the idea and the concept of we're going to play 12-minute quarters, kind of a round robin type of a thing. There's a little bit of a break in between. The All-Star game basically went from 2:00 to 5:00, something along those lines. If you take the starting lineups and all that other stuff, the introductions, I thought it was a lot more compelling of a TV product than it's been in the past. No, nobody's going to tune into this and say this is Game 7 of the NBA Finals, and nobody is supposed to. But I think what most people are saying is, can you play a little bit of defense? Can you grab a couple of blocks? Can you have a couple of guys go at it? And I thought they obviously did that. So I thought it was a successful All-Star game yesterday. And I think for most people, and I've been critical, and I think there's plenty of areas you can be critical in regards to Adam Silver. Sure. I mean, I think a lot of people can be critical about how he's running things right now. The one thing I will give Adam Silver some credit for, I will say that he's at least tried different things to just see, will this work? Will that work? All right, we fell flat on our face on this one. He's at least trying some different things and not saying, well, this is how we do it and that's it. Again, I got a lot of things I think I could be critical on when it comes to Adam Silver, but I thought for the most part, it was a entertaining game and entertaining All-Star game on a Sunday, which I think we all would agree that's not something that we say all the time. Now, maybe you want to say in that final game, because the final game was trash, 47-21. Anthony Edwards ends up winning the MVP, and for what it's worth, but it was 47-21. Team Stripes, I think that was one of those veteran watching some of these. Maybe they were older and they played 3 straight games and their legs were tired. I don't know. But you could tell that it probably got to a point where they're like, all right, the world's not going to end. If you guys want to win this thing, go ahead and take it. Where guys, I think like Anthony Edwards, Devin Booker, a couple of these guys for team stars, I thought were into it. So interesting game, fun game. I'm going to give them credit for trying something a little bit different. And that's exactly what they did. And I think a better format than what we've seen in the past. Now, there's also other people that I don't think were crazy about the format. I saw LeBron say something before the game, basically saying that, you know what, let's actually play it. I got a clip here that I'm going to play. LeBron, this is pregame, talking about the East and the West. Can I be honest with you before I play this? There's a part of me that any player complaining about yesterday's format, in my head, I'm like, well, you don't get an opinion on this because it's not like the other format. You care when they're playing anyways. It's not like you care about the product of the All-Star game. So the fact that the league is doing everything they can to just find ways to accommodate to the fan base, I think that's exactly what you should be doing. Here's LeBron again. This is pregame before the All-Star game. He wasn't crazy about the format. Take a listen.
No, no. I mean, East West is definitely, it's a tradition. It's been really good. I mean, obviously, I like the East and West format, but I mean, they're trying something. See what happens. But I mean, it's like the U.S. versus the world. The world is gigantic over the U.S. So I'm just trying to figure out how that makes sense. But I don't want to dive too much into that. All right, yeah, East and West is great. We'll see what happens with this.
Kawhi also said there's a little bit of a preference. I'm going to read a quote from Kawhi. He said, I still think going back to East-West will be great. I think guys will compete still, but it's like whatever grabs the attention of the consumer, I'm for it. Yeah, I think, if I'm being honest with you, I think a lot of these guys are tone deaf. I think they're just in their own world, and nobody can sit here and tell me that the All-Star game doesn't need some changes. Nobody can sit here and tell me that the format, that the players were really invested into the format and they enjoyed it. Tell me who on the East-West games was playing hard or gave a flying F. The only thing that would come out of an All-Star game is, why are we doing this? So it's tough for me to hear anybody that was bitching and complaining about yesterday's format from a player perspective. It's tough for me to take their opinion and take their opinion seriously. Now, listen, for LeBron, it might be different. The dude's in his 23rd season in the NBA. He's like, I'm not going to give you the same exact effort that I'm going to give you when I'm in a playoff game. LeBron is probably a little bit different. There's a few players out there. I know vets have been in the league for a while. It's a little bit different, but people do want to see something a little bit more competitive. They want just a little bit of, they want you to respect the product. And I think a lot of players haven't respected the product. So whether these players loved this new format or they didn't, I'm going to give the league a little bit of love to just basically say you tried something a little bit different. And I think it was better than previous formats. So let's put it that way. Is it perfect? Probably not. Is there ever going to be something that's perfect? Probably not. But I'll take my chances with what they put out yesterday. Okay, I want to read some of the comments here from people. So we'll get everybody's kind of thoughts and opinions on what they thought in regards to last night's format. Before I do so, let's give a little bit of love to one of our partners here, Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. If you are a family member or friend, serious injury, wrongful death case, these are trial lawyers that can help anybody in the state of California. I hope you never need Brad Wallace. I hope you never need the Wallace firm, but just know they're the best in the business. So there's kind of a simple way of talking about Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. They genuinely care about all their clients. They'll fight against the insurance companies. They're not trying to settle. If you are a family member, find yourself in a situation or a predicament, maybe you're not 100% sure, hey, do I reach out to Brad Wallace? This is the case that I have. I would tell you the best thing to do is reach out to them. And then, from there, you can figure out whether they can help you or they can't. I know Brad Wallace, and he's done this before with past clients, past listeners that have reached out to him. Hey, I probably can't help you in this situation, but I could put you in touch with the right person. So website again, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Get a free consultation. Shout out to Brad Wallace. Shout out to the Wallace firm, and greatly appreciate their partnership, obviously, on the channel. All right, let's read some comments. What do people think of the format? Like the format, hated the format. What do we got here? LeBron wants 280 to 270 final scores again, I guess. I will say this. LeBron, if there's a little bit of an exception, because LeBron's been doing this for so long, but I'll tell you who doesn't have an excuse to kind of take their foot off the gas a little bit. I'm just giving you an example. Here's who doesn't. If Scotty Barnes is in a game, kind of a youngster like that, it's like, no, you got to play. If Cade Cunningham is in a game, it's like, no, you got to play. If Tyrese Maxey is in a game, no, you got to play. Some of these youngsters, which I thought they did, I thought they kind of had a little bit different of a vibe yesterday, where a lot of the older players, it's like, yeah, I'm not going to do anything, which is a little bit annoying, right? Like, think about how much money these guys make. Think about, how great the sport has been for them, and vice versa. The sport has been for how much they've kind of taken the sport to another level. People aren't really asking for much. They're just asking you to, the best you can. Just entertain people for a little bit here. It was better and more entertaining than the last 5 years, at least. That's a good way to put it. That's all. I mean, in many of these other All-Star games, a lot of people are just sitting back and saying, well, that was a waste of my time. Why are we still doing this? You should cancel the All-Star game. Yesterday, if it's safe to say, I didn't hear anybody say that. I don't think anybody was out there saying that was the worst couple of hours that I've ever spent. And I think people have been saying that in the past. So for at least one All-Star game format, you can look at that and look at that as a little bit of a positive. It's All-Star weekend. Why do we care if the game is competitive? It don't count for anything but entertainment. I've created expectations for an All-Star game. It's like, if you go into a fast food restaurant, you kind of know your expectations aren't going to be here when it comes to the quality of the food. You go to a little bit nicer of a restaurant, it's a Friday night, you're going to a nice place, you're going to spend a little bit of money. The quality is like, okay, well, I need something of quality here. You set your own expectations. The All-Star game has been kind of a very cheap fast food option and alternative. I think all people are asking for is, can you make it Chipotle style-ish? Can it be middle fast food? I think, yes, the expectations are always not the best when it comes to the All-Star game, but I do think you got to find ways to improve your product. Wemby was a real MVP of the All-Star game. Without him, that game would have been trashed. Don't disagree. By the way, he actually cared. Like, if I'm being completely frank with you, when they lost that first game, they were up 23-22. Scotty Barnes hit a three, and I think it was Karl-Anthony Towns. For some reason, Karl-Anthony Towns thought, well, I don't want to give up a two. Left Scotty Barnes open for a three, and they ended up winning. By the way, De'Aaron Fox hit a buzzer beater. So there were a couple actually also really competitive games, which is what made it fun. But Wemby, when they missed, or they, obviously from that perspective of when they ended up losing, Wemby looked like he was devastated. Like they just lost game 7 of the second round of the playoffs. Wemby was mad at his teammates. I'm with you. Wemby cared enough to not win any game this weekend. That's true too. He cared so much that they couldn't find a way to win. But I will say, I think what people were saying is they probably respected the fact that Wemby cared. So that's kind of my main takeaway when the dust settles. I'm going to read one final one here. Then we got a ton of other topics that we're going to get into. I think the format, to be honest, you get multiple games as opposed to one. It's on the coach to understand his or her personnel, parse out minutes in early rounds, games of the older squad. Yeah, I mean, listen, if we're actually talking about now game planning, then it's already a win for the All-Star game. All right, I'll do a little bit of the All-Star weekend during the weekend recap. We don't have to do the rest right now, but kind of just I wanted to give my thoughts on that yesterday when the game was going on. I'm like, hey, this is a little bit more interesting than it has been, and that has not been the case. Okay, so media availability yesterday, I think Saturday, yesterday, whenever it was, getting a chance to, people are asking LeBron some questions, they're asking Luka some questions. They're starting to kind of look towards the rest of the final 28 games for the Lakers. By the way, after today, basically all of our attention is going to go to the rest of the season. That's all that's going to matter. So All-Star weekend will officially be behind us, and we'll spend the rest of the week just talking about what the Lakers got coming up and everything else. Dave McMenamin was asking LeBron, good clip here. It's a little bit long, but I want you guys to take a listen to it because there's some moments on this, clip that's talking about the Lakers, and it's talking about their health and how much success they can have the rest of the way. There's kind of a lot that comes into it, but I want to play this. This is LeBron talking about the Lakers, and some things I disagree with, some things I agree with. LeBron on the rest or the remainder of the regular season, kind of where he sees the Lakers are. Take a quick listen to LeBron.
Considering where the Lakers are at right now, and you talking to us about the uncertainty of your future beyond this season, how do you view the remainder of the regular season here?
Most important for our ball club right now is health. I can't state it any more clear. I mean, I'm not quite sure how many games we've had where we've had a full roster. And we're over the halfway point, and it's not been many games. Obviously, I know it's been, a lot more than then over half for sure, and probably even plus that. So our success is going to come down to, obviously, I think, our health. We have to, our coaching staff putting us in the right position. I think they're going to give us the game plan every night, but when it comes to what we have to work with, we have to actually go out and see it. We haven't been privy of having that opportunity much this year.
You guys agree with that? Do you think that the Lakers season is going to come down to their health, the remainder of the regular season, the postseason? Do you think it's going to come down to Lakers' health? I think I think health is a factor, but here's why I'm going to disagree with LeBron. And I think so far we've had this conversation before about the Lakers. If you're 33-21, you're 5th in the Western Conference at the All-Star break, you've done some good things. I think the fact that they've only played 10 games, Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves, I think that has something to do with it as well. So I think that's what LeBron's referring to. Guys in and out of the line, doesn't matter. I mean, you can really miss some games. Who else? DeAndre Ayton's missed some games lately. They've never really had kind of a consistent lineup that's in there. But I don't think the Lakers season is going to come down to just health. I think it's going to come down to more than health, or just as equal, just as important as health, is how these guys play. Because if DeAndre Ayton is the same player he was in the first half of the season, the Lakers are only going to be able to go so far, and that has nothing to do with health. If I'm going to use the role players as an example, if there's wild inconsistency with some of the role players, and I'm talking about specifically when you're playing maybe against some of the more elite competition, obviously that has nothing to do with health. That just has to do with talent. If Austin Reeves, use Reeves as an example, if Reeves shows up and demolishes teams that are below 500 and Luka's out and he gets a chance to shine, well, that doesn't really tell the full story of, well, they need Austin Reeves to shine when it's against good teams and Luka's right next to him. I don't think this Lakers season just comes down to health. I don't. I think there's a reason why. I'll give you an example. I think you can make a case for Denver. Denver, I think, is actually, if this was Nikola Jokic saying this, I think it's a different story. But let me use Denver as an example. If Jokic had a mic this morning or over the weekend and said, for us, we think we can hang with San Antonio, we can hang with the Oklahoma City Thunder, but the only way that we're able to do that is if Aaron Gordon's healthy and Christian Brown's healthy and Tim Hardaway Jr. and Jamal Murray, and go down the list of all the different players that they have. I think if Denver is making the case, we have everything we need. We have proven players. We have champions that have been there before. It's just going to come down to, do we have all our guys available or do we not? I think Denver, that's a team that you can make that case for, and I believe it. I think for the Lakers, it's not just down to health. I think what you could say about the Lakers is they don't know what their ceiling is because they haven't been 100% healthy. But it's got a lot more to do with the Lakers than just health. Health is going to be a piece of the Lakers. The other part is you're going to need players to overperform. They're going to need a lot of these players, including Austin Reeves and including LeBron James and including DeAndre Ayton and including Rui Hachimura and including Luke Kennard, and go down the list of all these, Jake LaRavia. They also need a ton of players to just kind of outplay whatever they've been so far in this first half of the season. So I don't think it just comes down to health. I think that the Lakers are in a good position. I'm a fan of the 33-21. I think 5th place in the Western Conference is a great place for the Lakers to be at. But I think when the dust settles at the end of the day, when you look at this Lakers team, it doesn't come down to just health. And I think we're going to learn a lot more about the Lakers in the second half. If they are healthy, maybe now there is a different ceiling they can reach. Maybe if they go 10, 15 games, everybody playing together, which I know doesn't certainly happen a lot in the NBA, certainly doesn't happen for the Lakers a ton. But if they can go 10, 15 games in a row and all of a sudden they're 15 games in, they're 10-5 over that stretch, they're beating good teams. They beat the Celtics, they beat Denver, they beat some of these other teams. And it's like, wow, there's a new ceiling for the Lakers, but I haven't seen that. I think for the Lakers, what we've watched so far, health has part to do with where they're sitting, their record, but so many games below 500, or at least 3-4 games below 500 against teams over 500. That obviously is not that doesn't make a big case here. A lot of times you look at the roster and you're like, I don't think this thing really fits. A lot of players that there's a reason why you can make the case Ayton was bought out, or Marcus Smart has got some inconsistencies, or you can only rely on Jake LaRavia to an extent, or the question marks that a lot of people have about Austin Reeves come playoff time or a good team. I think all that still's kind of got to figure itself out. But I don't think it's just health. I think does it gel? Does it fit? Do these guys complement each other? And I think that's a bigger question mark for the Lakers than just health. Okay. There's another clip I want to play here of Luka. And did I do that now? Let's do that now. Luka was talking to Chris Haynes. And he's talking again about kind of where the Lakers are sitting. Listen, and understand this. Don't take every single thing these players say. They're supposed to kind of dance a little bit. Nobody's going to tell you that they're perfect, or nobody's going to tell you that they got no shot at winning an NBA championship. I think we all know that. That's definitely not going to happen. That's not typically what happens when you're in the middle of a basketball season, or when you got guys. They're going to be honest, but they're going to be honest to an extent, right? Is that safe to say they're going to be honest to an extent? Take a quick listen here. Luka with Chris Haynes talking about the Lakers and just looking at the rest of the season as well.
Obviously, we're trying to win the championship. I think we can do it. We have the team for it. But obviously, we had a lot of injuries. Me, bro, and AR, everybody has been out some time. So now, coming back from All-Star, I think everybody's healthy. So that'll be a good test for us.
See what they do. I think, like I said, I think where they are in the West is exactly probably where they should be. They are probably the fifth best team in the Western Conference. Some people would probably argue that. I could see some people saying, I don't know. I don't think they're better than Minnesota, just using as an example, right? Maybe some people think, no, they're better than Houston. They're top four. I think they could beat Denver. Well, we'll see if Denver's healthy or not. Luka's going to say the right things. He's going to say their goal is to win an NBA championship. But I kind of like what he said there towards the end about just let's see what happens. And it's kind of a good test for us. He's talking about the rest of the season. It will be a good test. I think we'll have a much better idea as long as most of these players get to play together. We'll have a better idea of what the Lakers ceiling is. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments, see what people are saying in regards to some of those quotes and some of those sound bites. Need to see Bron, Luka, AR build chemistry and get back to the top offense we saw in the early season. Here's the one thing that I will have my doubts on when it comes to seeing these three players play together. My only issue with the Lakers, and I'll use this as an example. I think, let me use AR as an example. Do I think Austin Reeves is the best version of himself when LeBron and Luka are both playing with him at the same time? I would say no. I think AR kind of gets into I'll go stand in the corner. Certainly doesn't get into the same rhythm when he's the one that has the ball. Maybe this, by the way, could also tie into what a couple different people have told me about. This is why Austin Reeves needs to come off the bench. I want to see Bron, Luka, and AR together, and I want to see them build chemistry because I don't know what that looks like when it's at its best. And one thing that I definitely don't want to see, and there's too much of this right now with the Lakers, and there was a point a couple weeks ago where I think it was JJ Redick or it was Rui Hachimura that said JJ Redick and the coaching staff called out LeBron and they called out Luka about they got to move the ball here. It's too much isolation basketball. And I thought that was obviously a good thing, but Austin Reeves wasn't playing yet. What I'm most curious to see when those three are on together, what's the best way of them playing together? What is the best way? I mean, here's what I don't think is the best way. Luka bringing the ball up the floor, dribbling the ball for 15 seconds, trying to run some type of screen and roll with a DeAndre Ayton or a Jackson Hayes, and Austin Reeves and LeBron are just staring at Luka. I don't think that's good basketball. I think all three of those players are good enough to where it doesn't matter who has the ball. They should be making good, smart basketball decisions and keeping the defense honest because they're all great players that can drive to the basket, that can create for others. They can hit open jumpers. And I think the problem with those three players, the amount of time that I've seen them play together, I don't feel a flow. I don't feel a real natural flow where it's like, I don't know where the ball is going to go. I don't know who's going to be taking the shot. I don't know who's going to be making the passes. And that's what I want to see more than anything else. Because on paper, I don't care that it says LeBron, Luka, and AR. On paper, it doesn't mean anything. What does it actually look like? And listen, are they better off with, hey, let's bring Austin Reeves off the bench, so when he comes off the bench with Rui Hachimura and some of these other players, you don't miss a beat when you go to some of your bench players. And then towards the end of the game, you obviously determine you're going to have your best five that's out there anyways. So I think there's still a lot to be figured out from that perspective. Hate to say it, Slee, fully healthy, this team puncher's chance against anyone. You don't have to hate to say it. I mean, listen, there will be some things that benefit the Lakers once you get to the postseason. There will be things that benefit the Lakers. Here's what benefits the Lakers once you get to the playoffs. They're going to be better off in a style and a format where they can kind of play chess against another squad in the NBA because they got brilliant minds. And I'm talking about Luka, obviously. I'm talking about LeBron and some of these other veterans. You could look at Marcus Smart, some of these other players that have been around the league for a long time. It's also going to benefit them in a 7-game set because they're going to get proper amount of rest. One thing you don't have to worry about once you get to the playoffs is playing 2 nights in a row. Lakers obviously won't have to worry about that. Maybe the game will slow down a little bit, which will benefit the Lakers. You know, I don't know if this will benefit the Lakers or not. I mean, certainly they're going to need games where refereeing's a little bit tighter. They can get to the free throw line. So a puncher's chance, sure. Maybe a puncher's chance because you have Luka, you have LeBron, and you have Austin Reeves. But I also think there's going to be a lot of those series where they're not going to be favorites. It's hard to get chemistry if you don't play together very many games. We haven't really seen what they can do. I agree with I don't know what their ceiling is. I agree with that. I agree with those 3 players and some of these other guys. I don't disagree with that. But I still think that there are other teams out there that have a much higher ceiling than the Lakers do based off of just their personnel and if all the pieces fit. Let's get a couple more in here. Monday. I think everybody's off today. I don't think anybody told me anything. I reached out to HR. Nobody got back to me. Basically, I'd be sending myself an email. Slee, what are you talking about? The league coaches are playing chess. JJ is learning to play checkers. You know, if I'm being honest with you, that's why I didn't say JJ Redick there. I said guys like Luka, guys like LeBron, guys like Marcus Smart can be playing chess. I think JJ Redick still got obviously a lot to prove. No question about it. No question about it. I think he's got a lot to prove. And I think there were, some Laker fans that we were talking about this last week about what AR still needs to do in the playoffs. He's averaging 16 points a game in the postseason. And there were a few people talking about, Austin Reeves, and he's still got to prove it in the playoffs. JJ falls into that category too. Sure, of course he does. Yeah, I don't completely disagree there. I think the guys that I'm talking about playing chess are the ones that have been, look, Luka's he's a chess player in the postseason. LeBron is he's one of the smartest players to ever play the game. Marcus Smart's a veteran. He's been in the league for a long time. There's certain players that are going to play chess. I think it's very, very fair to say that if you got some doubts in regards to JJ Redick come postseason, you should. I think he's got something to prove. Sure. I don't argue that one at all. Definitely don't argue that one at all. Okay, let me get one more comment in here, and then we'll keep moving on. I want to talk about kind of an interesting story that was out there. And we started that conversation. About LeBron and if most Laker fans would like to see him end his career here, or most Laker fans would be okay with him going somewhere else. Let me find one more here. I've been to about 10 Laker games since LeBron has been a Laker, and I've only seen him play once. I saw AD as a Laker about 6 times, Luka 0. Is this more of what players are playing, what players aren't? Yeah, I mean, listen, injuries are going to be injuries, and then you have a lot of teams out there that are strategic now with their players. That's unfortunately comes with the game now. It really does. Comes with the game. I had a cousin who was driving up from San Diego going up, And he's like, I'm like, he was going to the Lakers Warriors game. In my head, you sure this is a game you want to go to? He's like, yeah, I know Luka's not playing. I'm like, neither is Steph. He's like, Steph's not playing either. I mean, you obviously go out there and you spend good money for some of these tickets, but it's kind of the territory that it comes. That's the territory that we're in now when it comes to some of these games. Okay. I want to talk LeBron. Before I do so, I want to give a shout out to Harrah's Resort SoCal. So let me kind of explain to everybody here what's going on with Harrah's. Our partnership with Harrah's Resort, which, by the way, beautiful resort located in North San Diego, about 1 to 2 hours from wherever you are in Southern California. Phenomenal amenities. If you're looking for one of the top restaurants in all of SoCal, Hell's Kitchen, Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen is phenomenal. I know right now it might not look at it because we got clouds and rain right behind us, but we're going to start getting into March and the weather is going to start getting better. They got a beautiful, beautiful lazy river, just great amenities for kids. If you want to go swimming and everything else, a swim up bar for the adults. Rita's Cantina, which overlooks the bar or overlooks the pool, and by the way, overlooks the Palomar Mountains. Just a phenomenal place. If you need a couple of days off, you want to go for a staycation, I'm telling you, this is the place. It's smart. It's a beautiful resort. And they are giving our listeners 20% off when you book. You just got to go. There's a specific link that I put into the bio of this show, and it's on every single video since maybe middle last week or so. If you go on there, there's a specific code, and you get 20% off. So I will just tell you guys, if you guys are looking to book at Harrah's Resort, and that's a place that you want to go to, make sure you use the actual code. There's some restrictions that apply. It's good for weekdays. But I want you guys to take advantage of it because it really does bring down the rate 20%. So definitely take advantage of that. Again, great place for a staycation, entertainment, comedians, the whole thing. Phenomenal place to go out there and take the family. All right, shout out to Harrah's Resort SoCal for being a part of the mix here, and always appreciate them being a partner. One of the other topics that came out of the weekend, what a surprise, what a shocker here. LeBron's future. I'm gonna give. I was on Rogan and Rodney, who do a show on AM 570. I was on their show. What was it? 2:00 on Friday, and we're having a conversation about LeBron. And there's some stuff that I want to play here because Tim McMahon had something out there in regards to LeBron and his future. And I thought they asked a good question. It was Rodney Pete that asked the question. He said that if you were advising LeBron, what would you advise LeBron to do after this season? And we're just assuming LeBron is still healthy and he's playing well the way he is. And it dawned on me, and I think I know the answer to this, but if I ask most Laker fans, do you want to see LeBron past this season? Do you want to see LeBron retire as a Laker? Let's just pretend LeBron's got one more year after this season. Do you want it to be with the Lakers, or would you rather it be somewhere else and you kind of churn that chapter and, we obviously officially start Luka's chapter with the Lakers? Here's what I told them when I was on the show. I said that in a perfect world, and you're asking somebody that obviously has watched LeBron basically every single game over the last 8 years, has watched LeBron over the course of his career. I said that in a perfect world, LeBron after this season is no longer with the Lakers and he can move on. I'd like to see him go back to Cleveland, let everybody know before the season starts, this is my final year, farewell tour, get some love from every arena that he goes to. He deserves it. Whether you love the guy or you hate the guy, he deserves the love. Retire after, obviously that season, go to the Eastern Conference, give himself a chance to get out of the East, give himself a chance to be in a competitive environment, because I think the Cavs, certainly have a good enough team to at least compete in the Eastern Conference. If you're asking me specifically, do I want to see LeBron retire as a Laker and play another year after this season with the Lakers? The answer is no. I'd like to see LeBron after this year move on, and I'd like to see the Lakers. More importantly, this has more to do with the Lakers than it has to do with LeBron. I want to see the Lakers start building for the future. And you can only build so much for the future with a 41-year-old. You can only do so much. And again, this isn't a disrespect to LeBron. LeBron, I've tried to give him a ton of credit for how he's turned around the Lakers franchise since he came here 8 years ago. I'm the one that says that I think he saved the Lakers franchise. They were irrelevant before LeBron got here. And I think people think, oh, you're too dramatic. He didn't have that much influence on the Lakers. Yes, he did. I think he did. I think LeBron was it's almost like he threw the Lakers a I don't even know the right term for it, a life jacket or something along those lines. That's a direction that the Lakers were going in. But at some point, you want to see the Lakers start building for the future. And I don't think they could really start building for the future and build the team that they're looking for, even if LeBron took less money to stay with the Lakers. Instead of $52 million, he took $30 million. For me personally, I'd like to see that page turned. I'd like to see the Lakers now start putting together a roster that makes sense around Luka, probably AR in the mix as well, makes sense around Austin Reeves as well, and they could really start moving on. That's my opinion. I actually don't know. I think I have an idea. Most people that I talk to, there's a lot of people that will say, man, I'm ready for Luka to take over, or man, I hope LeBron retires, or I want to see LeBron go to another team. I don't think I'm the only one that has that opinion. I just think the only difference with me is I don't really look at LeBron. A lot of people get upset about LeBron. They're like, I can't believe, he's too passive aggressive. That stuff I don't really care about. I don't really pay too much attention. It might tick me off every once in a while, but I don't really care that much. For me, it's more about wanting to see the Lakers start building for the future and really start building around Luka Doncic. That's why I would like this to be LeBron's final year with the Lakers. Okay, I want to play something here real quick, and then I'll start looking at the comments. So LeBron was asked, first off, I think it was Joe Varden who asked the question about if he has any more of an idea about his future. He says, I want to live when I know you guys will know. Basically, like, I want to stop answering that question. Tim McMahon on Friday saying that there's speculation growing around the league that LeBron's farewell tour for the ages will be next year in Cleveland. Let's play this. Let's take a listen. Here's Tim McMahon. Again, this was before I heard Tim McMahon say this, and this isn't the first time I've said this, and it's not the first idea that's ever come up. I think it'd be kind of cool if LeBron ended his career where it all started, where he's from, and they'd probably embrace him with open arms, where I think with the Lakers right now, there's a little bit of like, well, how much longer is this going to go? Take a listen to Tim McMahon.
I know what the rampant speculation is around the league, and that is this summer there's going to be a reunion and potentially a retirement tour for the ages back home again with the Cleveland Cavaliers next year.
Okay. Sounds good to me. And I got no problem with that. I'm not going to be the one marching, saying, no, he's got to stay. How can he be disloyal to the Lakers? No, I think that would be the best way for LeBron to go out. 24th season in the NBA. He's kind of avoided the question. He has not wanted to talk about the future. And by the way, I believe him when he says, I'm sure he was walking into this year. He has sciatica. He's dealing with some health issues. He misses the first 14 games. He's probably saying to himself, like, I don't think my body can take this anymore. Season progresses, still playing good basketball. What he does, I think if he does go to Cleveland and start a farewell tour, is he strategic? Does he say to himself, I'm going to take the least amount of money possible because I want to try to build a contender in the East with the Cavs, so I give this team a chance of trying to win an NBA championship? Again, you're just giving your squad a shot. That to me sounds like the right ending. And it also sounds like, I've heard people say, well, I don't think LeBron wants a farewell tour. You're not following LeBron? I think LeBron wants a farewell tour. I think LeBron wants to walk into every single arena and get a tribute. I think he wants the standing goes from, and by the way, I don't blame him. The guy has done a ton for the league. Listen, he's going to go down as top 2, top 3 player to ever play the game. And to obviously, go look at the record books. His name is everywhere. Assists, games played, points. It doesn't matter. Minutes. The record's going to be, he's going to hold so many different records when the dust settles. So I thought it was interesting that Tim McMahon put that out there. And if I'm a Laker fan, I got no issue with that at all. Let's see how the rest of this season goes. Hopefully LeBron and his body continues to hold up and he still is a productive player for the Lakers. But there will come a time, you got a 26-year-old in Luka Doncic. You got new ownership that just took over. and you're ready for that new chapter to change, and you really want the Lakers to kind of look and feel completely different moving forward after this season. And I think some of that's going to be if and when LeBron leaves the Lakers as well. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments. People agreeing, people disagreeing, people want to see him here. By the way, I also don't want to come off as, how do I put this? I don't want to come off as cold when it comes to LeBron, but I think there just comes a time where you're like, yeah, that chapter's got to end. And if Luka wasn't here, it's a different conversation. Maybe if it was still LeBron and Anthony Davis, you're still trying to like chase something that isn't going to be there. But I think for the Lakers, yeah, there's a time where you got to move on, and I think we've reached that point. All right, let's get a couple of these comments in here. See what people are saying here. Somebody in here saying LeBron's not even top 5. Those are the ones I'm not even going to read. I mean, I'm not. What do you want me to do with that? What do you mean he's not top 5? There's nothing I could do with that. All right, I knew you kids won't understand this, but at the end, we're ready for Kareem to retire. 20 years is too long, and LeBron is now Kareem is no Kareem, not even close. Moving back to the East makes sense if LeBron wants to be in the finals. I think it has more to do with just that, but that's also part of it as well. Those young bucks on the Cavs aren't going to like that. You might be right. By the way, listen, I think maybe some of this also has to do with how far did the Cavs go this year. And they don't have just young bucks. They got Donovan Mitchell's been in the league for a while. They got James Harden. Obviously, he's 36 years old. We'll see what they end up doing there. By the way, that's not a good defensive team if it's LeBron, James Harden, and Donovan Mitchell in the backcourt, plus, obviously that backcourt plus LeBron. So we'll see what they end up doing. A lot of it also is going to have to do, let's just say hypothetically speaking, the Cavs made it to the NBA Finals. Do they want to add LeBron? Cavs out in the first round, second round. Probably there's more of a, well, let's just add LeBron because what the hell do you have to lose? I don't know how much some of it will depend when it comes to that perspective. LeBron is a net negative for teams. He has too much gravity. Not anymore. I mean, he probably still would have that gravity with the Cavs, but I think this year is a perfect example of LeBron lost his juice this year. Once the Lakers were like, yeah, we're not going to give you another extension. It's the first time in his career that he didn't have control of the following season. Well, that's what happens when you're 23 years in, and the Lakers, there is a little bit of wanting to move on. LeBron would only do that for legacy and chance to win. Can't imagine he'd be too stoked to fill Dan Gilbert's coffers with a retirement tour. Yeah, I mean, whatever their situation was, they ended up winning a championship together. So scores do not like LeBron. If he's willing to take a pay cut, I want Bron a Laker. Bron is still better than 75% in uniform. Okay. By the way, I'm okay with that. I mean, if there's some people out there that want to make a case that Lakers are still better off with LeBron, make your case. I think the Lakers are better off moving on. But if you want to make a case and it's like, hey, if he takes a pay cut and he's not making as much money, then that's actually there's no player that you can sign that would be better than that predicament, that situation. Laker fans build around Luka and deal with the reality of today's NBA. Win or lose without Bron as an excuse. Bron needs to go where he's loved unconditionally. And I don't think that's LA. I think Laker fans have always had an interesting relationship with LeBron. I don't understand it. They always want to compare LeBron to other Laker greats, which makes no sense to me. I don't think you need to. I think you could just use the chapter as the chapter. But yeah, I understand that. But he's also 23 years in the NBA. I mean, let's be honest here. What was it? The last game that they had was against Dallas. He gets the triple-double. He's the oldest player in the history of the NBA. I mean, he's 41. I mean, how many more? Part of this also has to do with the fact it's like, well, how many more years do you want to do this with a player this age? Okay, a couple more comments, and then we'll keep rolling here. Thank you for the super, brother. I appreciate it. A little 10 spot right there. Thank you, brother. Cheers to you. Cheers to you on this Monday morning. Got rain coming in a little bit later. Everybody hallucinating. By the way, why is how are these news channels, how are they so dramatic when it rains in SoCal? I mean, terms I've never even seen before. They're making it sound like we have a tornado was coming. Guys, it's going to rain for a couple of days. Can we relax here? And they're trying to show just this, they're trying to find the angle where it looks like that's it. Everyone's going to get swept away. Relax. A couple of days of rain. I mean, these news stations, is there anything positive they want to put in the news? Or is just the world going to end every single time? My God. All right, let's get a couple more here. I want LeBron to retire a Laker. It's better to LeBron and the Lakers if he retires as a Laker. Okay. LeBron is still productive and a top player. Would you take him next year if he wants to re-sign on a team-friendly deal? I think it's going to be tough to convince me that I would like to see the Lakers move on and that chapter ends. For LeBron, it's not just him. It's not just his play. Obviously, LeBron comes with a lot of weight that also comes with LeBron, having him around. I think it's going to be tough to really start building around LeBron until LeBron's gone. So, but I will tell you this. There's a few more comments in here that make me think that actually there are more Laker fans than I thought that wouldn't mind seeing LeBron retire as a Laker. I thought it would be like 90% Laker fans would say, no, I'm ready to move on. So that's a little bit encouraging there. A little bit encouraging to see. Let's see what we got here. You guys have no clue behind the scenes. It's been a mess. Hammer came down. Everyone falling in line. Luka's a future. Can't wait for the show. All right. Got a lot of different opinions here. So, my God, the Weather Channel. Buddy, just relax. Just relax. It's like every shot that they take, it's like this isn't we don't have an earthquake coming. Just take a deep breath here. Take a deep breath. Okay. Getting towards kind of the end of the show here. I'm going to actually put a few of the things in the NBA news and the weekend recap. Let's put it all together. Great stuff, by the way. Great. I appreciate everybody kind of chiming in with the comments. I don't think you guys realize this, or maybe you guys do. Well, when we have good topics and we bring up certain questions and you guys chime in on it, it definitely helps the show, the flow of the show, and it gives me an opportunity to kind of go back and forth with you guys. So thank you for chiming in with some of the comments that you guys have. I saw this article. Oh, man. Oh, Ivica Zubac. So I saw this article. It was kind of interesting here. I don't really know what to make of it. Zoo was talking. See if I could find the article. There's a tweet and then there's an article. Let me do the screen and roll thing. Ivica Zubac shared some stories of Magic Johnson from his time with the Lakers. And again, look, this is an extensive interview that they had on a Croatian YouTube channel. So I think, one of the things that they're warning here is maybe there's a little bit of not fully understanding because it's on a Croatian YouTube channel. So maybe there's some areas here that we didn't fully catch. All right. Bless me, by the way. Here's what it said. Zoo opened up a lot about his Lakers tenure. Worked out a couple times with Kareem. Kareem wanted a full-time position with the Lakers to work with him and other bigs, but management never agreed. There's a couple other things on here as well. Of course, we know that the Lakers eventually traded Ivica Zubac, but the main takeaway for me, and here's another piece. Lakers wanted Michael Beasley back up 5 minutes over Zoo. They also later signed a washed Tyson Chandler to play over him. Zoo got called the day before a game versus the Pelicans and told he'd be a starter against AD after JaVale got pneumonia. It was Zoo's first real NBA game in 2 years. Magic said he wanted 15, 10, and 3 from him. Zoo got 17, 11, and 3. Anyways, we know what ended up happening. He ended up getting traded. It's just honestly, it's just the Zoo Magic Johnson, the trading Ivica Zubac, who now is going to be with the Indiana Pacers. Every time the Lakers played the Clippers, there was this like, what? Why did they trade this guy? And that story's only got worse every time I see it. So just I don't know the full story about it, but Kareem wants to help Zoo, and Magic jumps in, is like, no, we're good on that. What are you talking about? Magic should get credit for helping bring LeBron to the Lakers. Whether LeBron was coming or not, whatever the case is, Magic was there. He was a part of it. I'm going to give him some credit. But the Zoo trade will always go down as one of the worst Laker trades. And Zoo is still, obviously he's going to be good in Indiana. The Clippers just got a haul back, and the Lakers got Mike Muscala when they traded him. So not exactly the best look. A couple other stories around the NBA I'm going to get into. Chris Paul retires. I think Chris Paul retired right after our show ended on Friday. If I'm right, I think that's when it was announced. 21 years in the NBA, 7 teams: Hornets, Clippers, Rockets, Thunder, Suns, Warriors, and Spurs. He was a Laker for about an hour until the NBA jumped in and said, you can't be a Laker. Accolades: 2025, 2026 Rookie of the Year, 12-time All-Star, 11-time All-NBA, part of All-NBA, 9-time All-Defensive. He's got the accolades. Nobody's going to sit here and kind of question any of the accolades that Chris Paul has. Can I just say this about Chris Paul? Why was he so annoying? Why did Chris Paul annoy me? Why did he annoy me? I don't know what it was. Chris Paul always annoyed me. I mean, listen, if he ended up being a Laker, maybe he'd have been less annoying. But the dude was just so annoying. Doesn't matter what I think. Doesn't matter that he was annoying. He was a great point guard in the NBA for many, many years. 21 years in the NBA, that's a long time. He had a lot of success. Obviously, his time in Lob City completely changed the franchise around. They had a moment there, the Clippers did, with Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. Lakers were down. Clippers were must-watch TV for a period there. And Chris Paul was a part of that. But my God, he was so annoying. I couldn't stand him. I just couldn't stand Chris Paul. Was I just hating? Or did other people kind of feel the same way? All right, a couple other things I want to point out here. I'm going to read something here from Bobby Marks. I got some video on this, but I'm not going to play the video. I'm just going to read a couple of quotes here. NBA tanking is a big time conversation right now around the NBA. It was a big conversation over the weekend. Bobby Marks says a team that is not in the lottery texted him and said that they would write a blank check for the tanking fine to be able to pick up a top 3 pick in this year's draft. Basically what he's saying is, yeah, I don't care. You find me $100,000, $500,000, it doesn't matter. There are franchise-altering players in this draft. It's worth a top 3 pick. Keep those fines coming. Get to up to $1 million. It doesn't matter how high, the fines come to. It's worth it. Bobby Marks also said a lot of teams are ready to submit proposals on how to fix the tanking problem, whether it'll be rewarding teams in the standings with wins and not incentivizing to lose. This is going to be an overhaul of the system, not just minor here. Adam Silver said that every possible remedy is on the table to stop tanking after David Aldridge asked if it's possible teams could lose draft picks instead of being fined for tanking. All right. Adam Silver also said, are we seeing behavior that is worse this year than we've seen in recent memory? Yes, in my view. So, to answer all those questions for everybody, looks like tanking is taking all the attention of the NBA right now. They know it's awful. They know it's bad. And they know they got to do something about it. I'm curious what they come up with. Frankly, kind of like the All-Star game. Keep trying things till something works. Their current system, I don't blame any team right now. I've said this before. I don't blame any of them for not liking the system and playing into the system. They got to. I mean, the system benefits them if they do tank. So just come up with a different system. We'll see what they come up with. Okay, final thing I'm going to do for the show today, and I'll read a couple of comments after this. Quick weekend recap presented by the Wallace Firm. Go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. The Rising Stars game, I actually watched it. Thought it was kind of fun. I thought the players had a perfect balance of having fun but also competing. VJ Edgecombe ends up from the Philadelphia 76ers. He hit a game-winning bucket and ends up winning it in the Rising Stars game. What was it? I think it was Vince Carter's team that ended up winning the whole thing. Yeah, it was Vince Carter's team. They beat Carmelo's team 25-24. The three-point contest. Oh, did Devin Booker. Devin Booker had a shot. I thought Con Knipple was going to take it, by the way. Devin Booker had a shot, missed 3 straight threes at the end and on his money rack, and lost to Damian Lillard. I saw a lot of people that were upset Damian Lillard was in the three-point contest. By the way, I don't blame you. I kind of understand it. Why not give that to a player that played all season and could have been there? I don't blame people for doing that. The shooting stars, the Knicks team won, which is Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, and Allen Houston. And then the slam dunk contest, former San Diego State player Kashad Johnson from the Miami Heat beat Carter Bryant in the final. Honestly, wasn't that entertaining. Jackson Hayes kind of embarrassed himself in that first round, and this first dunk looked like a regular dunk. Carter Bryant, you thought had the entire thing, young player for the San Antonio Spurs, but kept missing his dunks, which is why Kashad Johnson won. All right, a couple of comments and we're done here. A couple of quick comments and we're done here. What do we got here? All right, this is awesome. This is very, very cool. I gotta highlight Pat the engineer here. Pat, I appreciate you, brother. We'll have back to doing a member show this week. I'm not 100% sure which day yet. Maybe I'll just keep that theme going on Friday. Pat, thank you for gifting out 10 MVP memberships. We do a member show once a week, $3 a month if you want to become a member and support the channel. I really, really hope those that hang out on this channel a ton really consider being a member. I would love to have as many members as possible, but Pat, thank you for doing so, man. That's really, really nice of you to do so. And I'm sure others are appreciative of it. So thank you very much. That's very, very kind of you to do so. Let's get a couple final comments in here before we're done. Dame time pressure. Devin Booker thought he saw Luka on the bench. Man, I just don't know what to tell you about CP3. CP3 was a good player that could be dirty. Had some dirtiness in him. Definitely had some dirtiness in him. Maybe it was the State Farm commercials. You might be right. Maybe you're right. All right, my people, I think that's all we got for today. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. Really appreciate everybody obviously hanging out and coming on a Monday. I know I'm doing a show tomorrow. I just don't know what the rest of the week. Probably going to take Wednesday off is my thought process here. And then shout out again to the gifts here, the 10 MVPs. I really appreciate you doing that, brother. Pat, thank you very much for doing so. We had a super a little bit earlier as well. Thank you for doing that as well. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday. If you're off today, enjoy it. I'll be back on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your Monday, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.